The Brothers of Liberty, here to remind you what true freedom is. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Liberty with the older brother Kelton here. It is Saturday, December 4th, and actually a lot have gone on in the world today as far as rallies and protests. Usually every weekend there's protests all around the world. The mainstream media seems don't want to cover it no more because it's not news. But we're still going to cover it because of the fact that we want to let the word get out that there are still protests going on because freedoms are being restricted everywhere. Like I said before, I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm just anti-mandate. It should be a choice, like everything else. People want to complain that abortion should be a choice. Well, guess what? My body, my health, everything should be a choice. Um, and I love the people want to use, the Christian method. Well, God said free will. You're that free will. So if you really want to use that argument, look up your Bible because God never forced anybody to do anything. Um, So yeah, that just obsolete and kills your argument right there. Um, Today, there's been rallies in a lot of places, especially in for Australia. In Tokyo, Japan, there was a rally in front of the Australian embassy. In New York, they were chanting "Free Australia" in front of the Australian consulate. That was the largest group I've seen so far in the United States for in front of an Australian consulate. Uh, Phoenix, Arizona, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C. Also saw videos of rallies in front of the Australian consulate. I know there was more cities that had it. Miami was one of them. Didn't have no videos that. I know they said something about them being there in a few other cities as well, and also smaller protests just on street corners and stuff, and rallies on street corners, just to protest the mandates and to restore our freedoms. And all around the world, they're having it. 16 countries I counted, um, of right now that I was able to see through sources. Not all of them is being covered. Some of them are being covered. Some of them are not. Melbourne, Australia seems to be covered every week, especially Rebel News. If you don't subscribe to that, definitely subscribe to Rebel News. That is a good source to get information off of, especially in Canada and Australia. But Melbourne, Australia, New South Wales, Australia, there was even a plane with a banner for a protest. Cities in Italy, 10 cities in France, including Paris, Belfast, Ireland, Slovenia, Sweden, Argentina, Cyprus, Belgrade, Serbia actually had multiple protests on different things, but they united into one and they all agreed that they need their freedoms back and the government is corrupt. Luxembourg, they actually removed a medical apartheid fencing that separated the Christmas market from the unvaccinated and vaccinated. In Germany, there was actually one banner in German that read, "Control the border, not your people." Denmark as well, Lisbon, Portugal, New Caledonia, and like I said, the cities in America as well. Um, the media may not want to report this, but we will report it. And the reason why, I mean, in all the other countries, you see large numbers of people. Now, you saw a large number of people last year with the George Floyd all across America, but you don't see that number now when our freedoms are taken away. Um, and I think a lot of it is complacent. You saw some of them, or they got some large numbers in certain cities, San Francisco, New York, for example. But then when the court started blocking the mandates temporarily, I think the American people got kind of complacent. And that's the problem with our country. We get complacent because things aren't going our way. And that's never get complacent because it can always turn south real quick. We got to keep on them and remind them that they work for us, not the other way around. Um, protest every day, email your congressmen, senators, write them letters, call their offices, you know, to the point of harassment. They work for us. They are public servants. We voted them in, and they represent the people. They're not supposed to represent their own interests. They're not supposed to represent what the people do not want. A true representative is that who listens and represents his or her constituents, not the other way around. The government works for us. We, the people, need to remind them of that. And don't get complacent. Share information, even if it's something small. If you're not able to go out and protest like a lot of us are not. Send letters, send an email. You send a text message, and share memes all the time. Sending the one email to two or three people, two senators, two of your state senators, an email to your representative, an email to the state legislature and Senate. Doesn't take that much. One general email, bam, you can send it multiple people, and it takes less time than being on Facebook for 30 or 40 minutes sharing memes. Um, and that's what we need to do. We need to stop worrying about Facebook and the memes and looking at kitties and worry about our freedoms being taken away, because one day it's going to happen and your kids won't know what freedom is, or your grandkids won't know what freedom is. And I'm going to make sure, at least on my end, that does not happen. So, once again, this is the older brother of Liberty reminding you what true freedom is and ought to be.